Dear flute players, my name is Matthias Siegler and I would like to welcome you to a short showcase about the very special flutes of Eva Kingma, who received the 2018 Lifetime Award of the NFA and whose workshop is located in the little village of Grollo in northern Holland. Eva Kingma is mainly known for her developments in the field of the low flutes, but she has also invented the Kingma system, probably the biggest invention in flute mechanics after Theobald Böhm. More about this in a moment. Here a picture of the complete family of flutes designed by Eva Kingma. First flute on the left is the Brannan Kingma system flute, which is produced in Boston. It's in C. Second flute is the Kingma Brannan alto flute, which is available with the Kingma system or without the Kingma system. It's in G, like traditional alto flute. This is followed by three bass flutes. The first is the traditionally curved bass flute, which requires strong arms and some extra workouts for longer practicing. It's in C, and there's also a curved bass with a T-shape head joint, which is of course more comfortable. The golden flute is the Hoover. That's a flute I'm playing. That's a flute we are constantly experimenting with. It's a prototype. That's why it is not silver plated. Then the biggest flute is the subcontrabass flute, which is a flute in G, 2 octaves below alto flute. And the last two flutes is a contrabass flute with in C, normal contrabass flute, and the very last one, a contra-alto flute, which is 1 octave below the alto flute. So here's the whole choice for a flute choir. Let's now have a closer look to the Kingma system, which brings us to her collaboration with the legendary flute maker Bigfoot Brannan. The result of this collaboration I'm having in my hands now. The Kingma system is a key-on-key system which allows you to have an 11 open-hole flute instead of the traditional 5 open-hole flutes. So what are the advantages of this? The most obvious is that you can play quarter tones throughout the flute scale without having to adjust the lips and the embouchure of the instrument. The consistency of sound stays the same. Let me show you an example. Going up from G, a quarter tone, and then down, first the traditional way, and then with the Kingma system. Now Kingma system. So you can easily hear that you get a much clearer sound information, a much clearer tone, which allows you to play any quarter tone scale with a pure intonation. Talking about combinations, of fingerings with open holes brings us to the issue of multiphonics, which might even be more interesting than just quarter tones. We can now transpose multiphonics chromatically throughout the flute without any missing link. And this has really a big creative potential. Let me show you multiphonics on a traditional flute. So you probably noticed that there was a missing link between the second and the third. I could not chromatically transpose the multiphonic. When I'm doing it with a Kingma flute, I'm getting the two missing multiphonics in the middle. This is, for composers, an incredible input. So now they can really think of working with multiphonics in a completely different way. They know it's possible to transpose a multiphonic, of course within certain limits of the flute, but this opens a big field. A third example for the use of the Kingma Brannan flute, or Brannan Kingma flute I have to say. It's produced with the Brannan company and it has the mechanics of the Kingma system on it. Another example is the correction of pitch for extreme dynamics. For example, the Sequenza by Luciano Berio. You find an extremely soft note, an F sharp, after 2/3 of the piece, and this would be fine, but the problem is the context asks for key clicks and extreme playing techniques. So how do you adjust to that big step onto that very soft 5p note? What I'm doing is I put that note a quarter tone up and bring it back down by turning the flute in, and this allows me to play the softest possible dynamic. So if I have the context before is and then I keep on playing, I come back to normal playing. So that extreme note creates a lot of musical tension. Those are just a few examples of the creative potential of the Brannan Kingma flute. But of course it goes much further. If I have a flute in my hands which can be played exactly like a traditional flute, I can start from there. You know, it's a flute, it plays like a normal flute. And from there I can reach out to the other possibilities and discover along my playing where the new possibilities are. So I don't have to get used to a new, completely new instrument. And it's not heavier than an ordinary flute. Being able to play scales which are outside of the equal temper pitch scales, for example, As the big flutes are going to the extreme measurements, individual needs of customers can be fulfilled. You don't want a flute which you can't reach, you can't even play because your hand is too small. So their solutions, individual solutions, can be found. Hand position is a very personal and delicate basis for all players. Eva Kingma looks for individual solutions at her Chrollo workshop together with her collaborator David Kerkhoff. The creative atmosphere of Eva Kingma's workshop in Chrollo leads to a wonderful small flute festival, which will be happening next summer again at the end of August. August 25 through August 30. Wissam Boustani from London, a brilliant player of the Brannan Kingma flute since years. He will probably never trade in his flute towards a traditional flute. Ian Clark, whom you know from his creative compositions, and myself, we will teach and discuss music in the atmosphere of an open stage, which allows participants to bring in their individual contributions and share them with their colleagues. Playing music and developing new flutes are close partners in the creative music world of Chrollo. You find more about this on the website of Eva Kingma or on the website of the Chrollo Flute Sessions. To conclude this presentation, I'm inviting you to stick around and listen and watch two pieces. One piece by Diego Ortiz, Renaissance composer, played on the Kingma contrabass flute and recorded a few years ago by a Dutch television station, and to a composition of mine entitled Mashad, which has been recorded this summer in the Swiss mountains for Musikwoche Braunwald, a small festival, summer festival. Thanks for listening, and if you have further questions, don't hesitate to write me, flute@matthias-ziegler.ch or at write to Eva Kingma. We'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Goodbye and stay well.